More and more of these are winding up in color. It's starting to freak me out. Beginning responsibility.
Alan! Alan, you gotta teach him about responsibility, Alan!
Just before lunch one day, a puppet show was put on at school.
Oh, yeah?
It was called Mr. Bungle Goes to Lunch.
It's called what?
It was fun to watch.
Oh, God!
At the puppet show, Mr. Bungle came to the boys' room on his way to lunch. He looked at his hands. His hands were dirty.
Mr. Bungle is made of my nightmares.
But Mr. Bungle didn't stop to wash his hands or comb his hair. He went right
He's
to
a
lunch.
filthy little motherfucker.
It's funny that he's gross.
Then, instead of getting into line at the lunchroom, Mr. Bungle pushed everyone aside.
Get out of my
and
way,
went right to
fuckers.
the
I'm
front.
trying to get me some lunch.
Even though this made the children laugh, no one thought that was a fair thing to do. Then, in the lunchroom, Mr. Bungle was so clumsy and impolite that he knocked over everything.
Stupid
No one
tomato
wanted
head
to
looking
sit
son
next
of
to
a
him.
bitch.
And when he finally knocked his own tray off the
Get
table,
the shit outta here.
that was the end of the puppet show. The children knew that even though Mr. Bungle was funny to watch,
something.
he wouldn't be much fun to eat with. Phil knew that
Mr. Bungle's right here!
he didn't want to be like Mr. Bungle. Later, Miss Brown said it was time for the children who ate in the cafeteria to go to lunch.
And those that didn't can
She
get
hoped
the hell
there
out of
weren't
here.
any Mr. Bungles in this room.
Okay, I just gotta go around this way.
Phil stopped to return a book to
There
Miss
you go.
Brown while his friends went on to the lunchroom. He would have to catch up with them later.
Okay, well, I'll see you later.
On his way to catch up with his friends, Phil almost walked
Oh, wait
past
a
the
minute.
boys' room, but he stopped and thought,
What's up?
were his hands clean?
Oh, looks like engine
No,
grease.
they were a little dirty.
Oh.
Phil remembered
Was
that
that
Mr.
blood?
Bungle didn't wash his hands. Mr. Bungle's hair was messy, too. Phil didn't want to be like Mr. Bungle.
No, I don't want to be like that.
Inside the boys' room, Phil was surprised to see some of his friends washing their hands,
We all like
too.
to hang out in here, wash our hands.
Phil washed his hands well, with lots of soap.
Okay, kid. Okay, kid. Okay, God, how much soap do you need?
Then he rinsed the soap off.
It took him 35 minutes.
Phil dried his hands well, too. When he was finished, he threw the paper towel in the basket where it
Oh, that
belonged.
just goes in there.
And then he made sure that his hair looked neat.
Gotta have that pocket comb, man.
Now, Phil and his friends were ready for lunch.
None of us actually have hair, but we bring a comb anyway. Okay, well, here we go.
There was a line of children waiting to get into the
Hey!
lunchroom when Phil got there. He saw some boys he knew at the
Oh,
front
they're
of
my
the line.
friends. Hey.
They waved
Oh,
for
come
him
on
to
up
go up to
here.
the front with them.
No, oh no,
But
I need to
Phil
stay in
didn't want to
line.
break into line as Mr. Bungle did. So Phil went to the end. That was the
I
fair
guess
thing
I'll just
to do.
wait at the end.
He would see his other friends inside the lunchroom. The line moved very fast, and soon Phil was
It
inside.
was so fast that Phil didn't even realize
First
they was
he
in
picked up his
line.
tray.
Okay, let me, all right, let's just put this right. Yeah, all right,
Then he got his silverware.
I need these, one of those.
He put his knife, fork, and spoon neatly on the tray.
Sure. Line them up like this.
And then he slid his tray along. He always enjoyed looking at the good food in the cafeteria.
Just looking, never
It
trying,
tasted
always
good
looking.
And was good for him, too. Instead of having a sandwich today, Phil decided to take the hot lunch.
His lunch is hot.
Phil took some bread and butter, too. And he knew what else he wanted. Milk. But Alice took the last carton
Oh,
on the
that
tray.
bitch.
Maybe there was more milk. So he said, "May I please have some milk?"
Mm-hmm.
Phil remembered to say, "May I?"
Retrieving
and
milk.
"Please." That was very polite. Yes, there was more milk.
There you go, kid. Knock yourself out. I totally didn't
Phil
put rat
remembered to
poison in
say,
these.
"Thank you," when he took the carton of milk. Phil had good manners.
Weird little
He
robot
didn't
kid.
want to be like Mr. Bungle in the lunchroom. Phil didn't want to forget his dessert. The cake.
Jesus, that's a big piece of cake.
At the end of the line, the lunchroom supervisor said she had noticed how polite
You
Phil
did
was,
really good.
and she smiled at him. She wouldn't smile at a Mr.
All right,
Bungle.
$37.50. Come on now.
Phil went to the table where his friends were. He put his tray down carefully, pulled out his chair quietly, and sat down. He knew his friends wouldn't like a noisy Mr. Bungle.
No
at their
Bungles
table.
here. Never.
There was someone Phil liked, Freddie. He always brought his lunch from home. It looked good. Freddie had a sandwich, an apple, a cookie, and
Is that what
milk.
that is?
Before Phil began to eat, he always put a
Unfold
napkin on
this,
his lap.
just kinda...
So did Freddie. Everyone liked
I'm
Freddie.
not a big fan of this
He was very
sandwich.
polite. For example, if he had food in his mouth when someone talked to him, he always took time to chew the food with his mouth closed and swallow before he answered. Phil noticed how straight and tall Freddie usually sat. Freddie kept his feet on the floor, too.
Phil was learning about his first man crush.
Phil would rather be like Freddie than like Mr. Bungle. Another polite person everyone liked was Alice. For example, when Alice sneezed, she covered her mouth.
Alice
and
also
nose.
has really
This
powerful
protected her friends at
pigtails.
the table from any germs. While Phil and his friends ate, a boy ran past their
Stop
table.
that shit right now.
You shouldn't run in the lunchroom. Only Mr. Bungle would do
Not a
that.
bungle. Never a bungle. We don't tolerate those here.
Phil and his friends wouldn't like to have a Mr. Bungle at their table. Then lunchtime wouldn't be as much fun as it is. Phil ate slowly and enjoyed his
Did
lunch.
you guys catch the game last night?
Finally, he had eaten everything except his dessert.
Okay.
He saved his cake.
35
for
pounds
last.
of cake. Here we go.
Only a Mr. Bungle would eat his dessert before he'd finished the rest of his lunch. And Phil
Okay.
wasn't a Mr. Bungle.
There we go.
The cake was good.
Okay.
Phil drank his milk carefully.
Careful, careful.
Some children are messy when they drink
Spill,
milk,
can't
but
spill.
not
Never
Phil.
a bungle. Never a bungle.
As each of Phil's friends finished, they didn't leave the table, but waited for all the others to finish eating too. Phil was the last one done. He wiped his mouth and hands carefully with his napkin.
All right. Like
Then
this.
he cleaned the table where he sat.
Okay.
He didn't want to leave his place at the table
Penny
dirty.
into the fork over there. There we go.
Everyone at the table cleaned his own place well.
What was that?
But look at that table. It was left very messy.
Oh, those damn kids.
Phil thought a Mr. Bungle must have sat there.
Always those bungles. We'll get them
But
next
Phil
time.
didn't want to be like Mr. Bungle. So he put his chair neatly into place.
Those are the kind of chairs that when you push
his
them in, they
table
go.
looked fine. Not a piece of paper or scrap of food was left on it.
Slow pan over the table. Okay.
No Mr. Bungle sat here.
Condescending comment. Yeah. And there we go.
Phil's friends were careful to put their waste papers and empty milk cartons where
We
they
save our
belonged.
empty milk cartons.
In this way, they helped keep the lunchroom clean. Phil was certain that Mr. Bungle wouldn't put his paper in the waste basket and his empty carton on the milk tray. Mr. Bungle probably wouldn't bother to put his lunch tray in the right place either, but Phil and his friends did.
Knife that bungle bastard if I ever see him.
Lunch was good today. And then Miss Brown told Phil and his friends how proud she was of them. They had left their table the neatest in the lunchroom. No
All right,
one
you little
here was
OCD
a Mr.
shits. Let's get back to the classroom.
and no one wanted to be. Are you like
Ugh.
Mr. Bungle is a shame because he spoils lunchtime. Don't be like Mr. Bungle. Have good lunchtime manners, and lunch will be more fun for everyone.
Coronet Films reminds you, clean your fucking table! Do it now! Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and a special thanks to my Moonfriendios Babbsy-kun and Stony Inc. If you would like to send in your own story, you can send it to r/MoonhorseStories, or if you would like to donate to my Patreon, you can do that. Please do. There's also a merch store if you want to buy anything there, and, well, honestly, that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I love you all. I'll see you in the next episode. Okay, goodbye now.
Bye.